I'm at Sebastian Inlet in Florida, where the Atlantic Ocean meets the side of Florida. And there's always a lot of birds here, a lot of people fishing, lots of interesting stuff. So let's see if I can find anything cool. This is what the inlet looks like. There's a huge group of birds down here on the beach. I'm gonna get a little bit closer, see what they are. So here they all are. Right there, look at all those birds. Skimmers, Arctic terns, bunch of pelicans coming this way. All kinds of stuff. And the first shot of the day is this immature white ibis. I really like how the colors on the ibis blends in so well with all of that sargassum weed on the beach. Check out these birds. These are black skimmers. At first glance, it looks like the upper portion of their bill is actually broken, but it's not. The lower portion of the bill is just longer, and they use this to skim the surface of the water in hopes of catching a fish. It's a really cool process to watch because they fly real low to the water and drag that lower bill just along the surface in hopes of grabbing a fish. And in this shot, you can really see the difference in the top and bottom bill. And if you look close, the bottom bill almost looks like it's serrated, like it has these little notches going down the side of it. I would guess that those notches help tell the bird when their bottom bill comes into contact with a fish. I could be totally wrong on this, and if I am, please go ahead and comment and let me know. And these are royal terns. I never thought I'd be taking pictures of royalty, but apparently you can right here on the beach. And the ones that are like have the solid dark caps on their heads, those are breeding adults. And that big green thing in the middle, I'm not too sure what that was. Actually, I'm just kidding. It's a football. And of course, I've got to capture some of these royal terns in flight. I really like how the ocean behind this one complements the colors. And then in the next shot, the sky and the soft white clouds also help complement the colors of the bird. I watched this bird playing in the surf for a little while. It looked like it was having a great time. And I'm not 100% positive of the species on this. If you know, go ahead and comment and let me know. I think this is a willet, but I'm not 100% sure. Again, if you know, feel free to leave a comment. There are all these pelicans feeding right here in this little cove, and they just went nuts, and a whole bunch of fish jumped out of the water. I think I got a bunch of really good shots. Oh, it was crazy. Have you ever had one of those days where something really awesome happens in front of you, you fire off a bunch of shots, and you can't wait to get home and see what you got? This was one of those days. The water exploded, and there were fish jumping everywhere, and then pelicans just started falling out of the sky. I didn't have much time to think about anything, and my first reaction was to crank up the shutter speed to 1/3200th of a second because the action was happening so fast around me. At the same time, I was trying to zoom in and close some distance on these pelicans and these fish. The first shot was at 240 millimeters, and only one pelican was there to try to catch a fish. It didn't take the other pelicans very long to figure out what was going on, and pretty soon they started coming from every direction. I liked this shot because the focus was on the fish, and you can see this big pelican in the foreground just waiting to scoop up as many fish as it can. You'll also notice that I was able to get a little bit closer now by zooming in to 390 millimeters. The school of fish was moving so fast, but the pelicans were quicker. There was around 7 or 8 of them at this point trying to come in for the fish. The pelicans are getting closer to the fish, and this one in the back is about ready to make its move. I think this pelican is hoping that one of these fish will take a bad jump and land right inside its mouth. And into the drink it goes. The pelican dives headfirst into that school of fish and gets a bunch of them right in its mouth. This pelican had a different idea and decided to go the opposite direction, and it managed to single out 4 fish. If you look closely, you can see the 3 right out of the water, and then one's tail just barely sticking out of the water right in front of the pelican's bill. In this last shot, it's a little difficult to tell what's going on, but what you're seeing is the bottom of the pelican's bill as it comes out of the water and scoops up one fish. There's 2 fish that made it away. They're bouncing off the top there. And here's a really extreme cropped close-up to where you can see that fish trapped in the bill. If you've been following all the data on each one of these images, you might have noticed that I went for a shutter speed of 1/3200th of a second. And not once did I ever change the aperture. It was at f5.6, which gave me a really narrow depth of field. And I think this was a mistake on my part. If you noticed some of the images, the pelicans weren't always tack sharp focus, but the fish were. I was aiming for the fish, and I had all of my focus points on the fish, so the camera was doing the right thing, and it was getting a good clear focus on the fish. But here's my question, and I'd like you to leave a comment and let me know what you think. If I would have lowered my shutter speed to, say, 1/2000th of a second, it would have given me a little bit more room to maybe change the aperture to 7.1 or f8, which would have given me a wider depth of field and possibly gotten more of the pelicans in more of a sharp focus. What do you think? Would that have helped, or do you think it was fine the way it is? Either way, let's leave it open in the comments. Not necessarily a debate, but I'd like to hear everybody's opinion on that. One of the reasons I like making these videos is so everybody can learn from each other, and I think this is an excellent opportunity to exchange some information and all of us learn from what I think was a mistake on my part. And then you have this huge alien-like creature. This is a black sea hare. It's basically a giant sea slug without a shell. And of course, I got too close and this thing latched onto my leg like a giant leech and started sucking all my blood. No, I'm just kidding. They eat algae and weeds. It came up here with all of the sargassum weed. After I survived the sea hare incident and the pelican frenzy, I was able to single out some of those royal terns and get some pretty cool shots of them in the air and diving for food. These birds are so fast that it's hard to get shots of them as they fall out of the sky. On this trip, I wasn't able to get any shots of the terns actually hitting the water and picking up some fish, but I was able to get some really good shots of this pelican. If you didn't notice already, there's something wrong with this picture, actually with the pelican. Take a close look and see if you can see what I'm talking about. It's pretty obvious. Do you see that thing hanging on his left foot there? That's a fishing lure, and it is hooked into his foot and into his leg at the same time and making his foot curl up. I imagine that's pretty painful, but here's what's really interesting is it doesn't seem to affect this bird at all. And eventually these hooks will rust out and the lure itself will fall out. I don't know about you, but if I had a lure like that stuck in my hand or my foot, it would slow me down big time. Doesn't slow this pelican down at all. Nature is so cool. And this is one of the really awesome things about photography. You get to pause time and take a closer look at what's happened. And had I not taken pictures of this pelican, I would have never seen the lure stuck in his foot like this. I was able to get some really great shots of him entering the water like right on impact, like this image here. And then in this next image, he was coming from the other side and you can clearly see the lure stuck in his foot. Many people don't like taking shots of pelicans because they're so common, but I really love taking pictures of these birds. They're a great learning tool. Tracking them while they're gliding in the sky is awesome, and it helps you learn how to keep the entire bird in the frame while you're zooming in or out. When they start falling out of the sky like jet bombers, things get really challenging. They're moving, you're moving, and there's just so much room for error. My biggest problem was being able to stop panning when they actually hit the water. You zoom in to get as much of the bird in the frame as possible while tracking them in the viewfinder, and it's hard to see the water coming because you're zoomed in so tight, and the bird hits the water, and you keep moving, anticipating the bird is moving. You end up missing the shot like this. The easiest way I found to fix this problem is to shoot with both eyes open. It can be hard getting used to this, but this way you can see the water coming, you can see the bird in the viewfinder and keeping him in frame, and you can stop moving the moment the bird hits the water. And in this last shot of the pelican, you can clearly see that massive wingspan. What an impressive looking bird. And this is the same one. If you look close, you can still see the lure stuck in its foot there. The D500 is more than a bird camera. It's also very capable of taking some killer landscape shots. I grabbed this shot of the inlet as I was walking through this little mangrove forest, and I was really impressed with the overall image quality with the D500. I used a different lens though. I used a Nikon 20mm 1.8 lens. There should be a little bumblebee in the upper left hand corner. Go ahead and click on that and subscribe to my channel. I got a lot of videos planned. If you like the video, click the thumbs up, and always leave comments. It doesn't matter if it's good, bad, questions, whatever. I'll do my best to answer any questions, and I love hearing what everybody thinks of the videos.